What's up, everybody? Welcome. So we've got news in about 5 minutes. So just waiting on the news right now, nothing to really see. Just zooming out here. This zone on the 4 hour, with rejections here at 1905, and just this zone we can see right here where we had this sell-off from 1905 all the way down to 1890, 1885. If you're seeing rejections in there, sells make sense. Overall, this week I've been saying that, we're looking at the beginning of more of a pullback phase. And in these pullback phases, price can be a little bit choppy. We've still had clean moves in New York, but it's just been very difficult to pick up the direction here. Yesterday we took advantage of some of these sells, where we saw the 4 hour candle closing bearish there off 1900. But look at that next 4 hour, you came all the way into 1890 and just left a massive wick there. So more of a rejection, grab some liquidity to pull back further here. When I say pullback is higher time frame, we are clearly bearish. I'm still expecting further pullbacks as we lead up to that Jackson Hole symposium that begins on Thursday. And then Friday I have Jerome Powell speaking at that event. So yeah, that will depend on the starter today. We've got core retail sales now in 3 minutes. Oh, it's CAD. I thought this was US data, my bad. So we got CAD data. I mean, we'll see what it does. But overall, the main focus for this afternoon is going to be the PMI either way. So that's 15 minutes after NYSE. If the 4 hour candle can give you some sort of direction, which right now, if we do get a closure above this zone on the 4 hour, it makes sense for us to then to continue to look for those buys. Maybe we can get into some nice positions above 1905 here, and then probably close out the majority if we're sitting in profit before the news, but possibly holding runners with the news. And if that news is coming out in our favor, then we could possibly have runners to 1915, 1920. So they are forecasting slightly lower numbers than last month. We would need to see those numbers coming out lower than the forecast for us to really get that nice push to the upside. DXY is pushing up to new highs today. So I mean, overall, you got a pretty strong dollar coming into the session. But if that PMI data is negative, you could easily correct this impulsive move. But overall, moving bullish here on the dollar, like I say, with gold in this area, if you're seeing rejections, sells are not a bad idea. Daily candle also has no bottom wick. You can see this 1907.5, that level I've marked up, your daily support, is this level right here. So that's also an area where you may reject. And with this daily candle having no bottom wick, if we reject there, and then later on you have some good numbers for the dollar, we could easily see that bottom wick being created for the daily. Yeah, we're in a bit of a tricky area. Jeez, pushing with that CAD news. So if this 4 hour can close nice and strong bullish like this, we should be okay for those bars coming into the new 4 hour. That's if you have enough volume before the news. Claude, I'm in X amount of pounds profit on gold buying. I see you saying sell. Let me know why you think so. Maybe I could close now and take my money. No. Don't listen to me, Claude. Listen to what you see. Follow your plan. You're in some buys, you're pushing into profit. Maybe secure partials as you come into some key levels. But don't go based off of my views. You took those buys for a reason. Follow your plan. Overall, I came into the day with the idea of buys. And like I say, we'll see how the 4 hour candle closes. Yeah, just gonna be patient here today. Bit of a tricky day. To me right now, nothing is clear. So I'm just going to be patient and wait here. We've moved into levels where for my weekly analysis, I was planning out that, we could see rejections, see that continuation with the sells. But at the same time, I still think we could pull back deeper. So I think waiting for that 4 hour close, waiting for some more confirmations is going to be strong here. Or a good idea, should I say. This 4 hour, if we could close above this zone, bars on the new 4 hour would make a little bit more sense. Also, the other thing, the daily candle having no bottom wick wouldn't normally play on my mind, but it is a tricky one. was thinking with the daily not having a bottom wick, tap into 1907 and move back down to create the bottom wick. It's definitely a possibility. I think that's one of the things that we could potentially see today. But I don't want to get taken away with the idea and look for sells immediately off these rejections. You got a lot of bullish volume right now. You know, yesterday this move down in New York session grabbed a lot of liquidity to a point where we opened up with no bottom wick on the daily. You know, when candles open up with no bottom wick and drive straight up, it also just indicates that there's a lot of volume in that direction. And you know, one of the times where I'm a little bit less worried about a bottom wick is if it comes after a pullback where we've grabbed liquidity. Because this candle right here got all the liquidity you need. You know, this candle didn't really need a bottom wick to grab more liquidity. You know, there are daily candles that end up closing that haven't formed that bottom wick. So, for instance, you know, these candles right here, this bullish candle. And you know, the bearish candle here was closing below this support. So this is a prime example of where you really don't want to get taken away with that no bottom wick story. Came down, a very strong bearish candle closure there. Next day, I mean, it should have been clear that you were most probably looking for sells. But if you scaled into the lower time frames, they might have told you a different story. But if you were fixed on the idea of sells thinking you would create a bottom wick, you know, it was 2 days later that you eventually came back to those prices. So we may only get that bottom wick tomorrow or Friday or even next week. Yeah, we're just gonna wait and see. Patient today. At this point, I'm waiting for the 4-hour close. If we get some nice clear direction from that 4-hour candle, we get a setup early into the new 4-hour. With time before the news, I don't mind taking that. Otherwise, I might even end up waiting for the news. I think it'll be tricky taking anything around NYSE unless there's a lot of volume. Because if you're taking something even 5 minutes after NYSE open, you've only got 10 minutes until that PMI news. So, gonna be tricky with the timing today as well. I know I was speaking of rejections in this area and potential sells, but really as of right now, your safer sells will only be below 1890. I could see us pulling back into this 1900, 1901, still moving bullish here. Possibly even pulling back to get that daily bottom wick. But that at that point is going to be quite a deep pullback. We'll be below 1900. We'll be back in this range. And it's going to be tough then. So it would be more ideal to see that pullback on the new 4 hour maybe to 1901. Otherwise, if we could close above this area or above 1905 and get like a pullback to 1905 on the 5 minute on the new 4 hour, that could be alright as well. News would could should what? News would could shaft me proper. Could should would. Internet seems to be slow. I don't know if it's my Wi-Fi. Should be connected to the cable here. So far, what I do like is we are seeing nice volume in the session. You can see some sort of minor break and retest there on the 5 above this zone 1906, which was your resistance here to the left. So yeah, we're pushing nicely here. I think we should most probably get quite a nice 4-hour candle close, and then next 4 hours should be pretty straightforward. Just waiting for a pullback into 1905. Any one of these levels here. Crazy thing is, 1910 is sort of what I was wanting to target today. So we'll just take it as it comes. How Connor, you stopped trading during London session? Yeah, completely. Completely. Um, I've looked at London over the last couple weeks, and I think the last time I took a trade in London was last week. But it's not worth it to me. I mean, I think even Asian session was better than London today. It's horrendous. And the thing is, sometimes it'll set up and it'll look like it may give you a move, and then it just ranges. And the thing is, like I say, now I'm only trading gold. So, of course, I could find something that would be moving in London, but I trade gold. There's no point in me going to London and looking to trade GJ. I cut GJ out for a reason, you know, to focus on gold. So, no point in really trading gold in London session for me, at least. You do get the odd move in London, but I mean, overall, it's like you're getting pretty steady moves almost every day in New York. So why must I come gamble in London for that 1 out of 10 days that's actually going to give a move? I don't know what day that will be. So I'd rather just stay out during London. Seems like Asian session actually hasn't been too bad lately, if you compare it to London session. Yeah, Asian's actually moving a lot more than London. But yeah, I actually saw something about that Brinsley. I think there was also something that happened in the Congo. There was a rock that fell on a cable in the Congo or something like that. What's up, DC? If we break the previous weekly top wick, you see, the thing is, I think we're still coming into quite a sensible area for a pullback. That top wick it's not really anything too significant. I mean, it would obviously look better if we did respect that top wick from last week, but I think we could pull back higher than the top wick from last week and still be bearish on the higher time frame, and still see moves down tomorrow or Friday with the Jackson Hole Symposium. It's not unlike gold to give you these pullbacks of hundreds and hundreds of pips. That's why coming into the week, um, I was more focused on the potential for a pullback, because when you are getting one of these pullback phases, you don't want to be chasing that higher time frame trend at that point. Here in 2022, where we had those rate hikes from the Fed, overall we were clearly bearish, but you were still getting hundreds, sometimes even 1,000 pip pullbacks. And we got that same sort of narrative right now where markets are more focused on the Fed's keeping rates up higher for longer. And that's why this Jackson Hole Symposium is going to be very interesting, because we'll hear from Jerome Powell what he has to say. And, if he's talking about keeping rates high for longer, ruling out rate cuts for 2024, that's going to be taken as hawkish. It's going to lead to dollar strength and gold sales. If you trade equities, US 30 NAS sells as well. We can see here the correlation with US 30 and gold as of late. Obviously both being bearish. Like I say, we've got that focus more on the Fed's monetary policy, that keeping rates higher for longer. Yeah, I actually haven't updated the pip count since last week. I haven't even updated the record, but it's probably in and around the same, maybe up a little bit. Six minutes here. You really want to see the 4-hour closing above this zone. That's 1906. I could move this level down now. Put it right there. I think if we close below 1906 on the 4-hour, I may just wait for the news. Yeah, I would have liked to have seen a stronger body there on that 4-hour. You can see we had basically a fake out of that 1907.5 on the 5-minute, closed above, closed back below. "15 minutes. What's going on here?" It's crazy. No top wick. Engulfed previous 15. Yeah, I mean, that's looking like more of a fake out for those potential rejections from this higher time frame zone for the sells. gotta be patient. You're basically back in this range from London session. I mean, if we back below 1905, you're just back in the same price range. And I mean, this area I definitely want to stay out of. Unless you want to be aggressive and take some sells anticipating that this will be a resistance. And then all you're really looking for, because you got nice volume here coming back down, pretty strong rejection. So all you need to really see is maybe a pullback to 1905, 1906 on that new 4 hour. Hopefully leaving you enough range down to 1900, and then, you know, from there, if we can break below 1900, should get that bottom wick on the daily. Yeah, once you break below 1900, then there's a very high probability you come and create the bottom wick on the daily candle here around 1907, 1907.5. Yeah. So I've been patient to wait to see what price would tell me. And look, I mean, in this range, it's tricky. This little price range here from London, it is very tricky. But if we're breaking back below 1905, we're holding below that level. I'm expecting us to come back down to this zone here, 1901, possibly 1900. And then, like I say, breaks below 1900. There's a very high probability we come and create that bottom wick for the daily candle at 1897. And then at that point, we may even have those continuations all the way to 1890, 1885, keeping in mind that, you know, we basically still in this range. Higher time frame, we are bearish. You saw this exact move on Wednesday last week. In fact, we took those exact same sells from about 1905 all the way down to 1890 here. So, you know, we could be looking at something similar. To me, this is looking like more of a rejection. 4 hour may even close bearish. Goodness me. Week thing. Okay, yeah, so this is telling me rejections from this area. I just want to see a pullback on the 5 minute to retest at least 1905. I'm not going to rule out the bars completely, but I think it's probably safest to wait for a bit more data for those bars. Maybe wait for a break above 1907. Very delicate area here. But what I'm seeing is that we've seen a rejection here from 1907. We had that daily support to the left. Right there. We had this resistance right here at about 1906. So we've rejected that general zone. Then 1905, also just a key level right here. We've closed below there. And we are seeing a retest now. This is a bit of a support being formed on the 5 minute. But you know, we may even come retest like 1906 again. And then if you're forming a resistance here, or we're breaking this low, looking to come down to 1900. May still have some bullish momentum here and fill that previous hour wick, but the buys for me in this area, especially after the way the 4 hour candle closed, right now are just a no. I'd rather just wait for news. If we're just gonna push up, that's fine. Like I said, I'd rather wait for news. If this 5 minute could actually push up into 1906, let's say, come back, close bearish with a wick rejection to the upside, come back, close bearish below 1905. I could look at some sort of more aggressive entry. We can go back to sometime last week. Right here. Also, it was sitting right at a key level at 1900. So you had that strong bearish candle closure below the 1900 key level. Support formed. Next candle pushed up. Saw a rejection there at 1902. And then came back closed bearish. And you saw strong volume. So possibly something like that. You know, that's going to show you that we're seeing nice rejections here as well. But I don't think we have that volume. What's up, Ned? Gold has clapped me this week. What's going on, Con? Gold has been pretty tough. The past, I think since Friday, even before Friday, we were already in a range, but yeah, Friday was extremely tricky. This price action was pretty terrible, and then, you know, ever since we've just really been in a range. Hasn't been the easiest to trade. And then most of these moves, you're not really getting nice pullbacks. You know, yesterday we had this deeper pullback very late into the session, took those sells, went into a bit of profit, saw that support formed on the 5, and I just got out with like 15 pips profit, and you know, it reversed at that point. I don't think this 5 minutes really gonna give me what I want, to be honest. Just give me 2 minutes, I'll be back now. So normally what I like to see in New York is actually what we're seeing now, where we get a push at, let's say, New York Open or COMEX. So you were seeing some nice bullish volume there, and then a pullback, and then looking to just continue this move. So generally what I'm looking at is this move at COMEX, New York Open, or if there's news at 2:30, that's normally going to give me my direction for the session. The thing is, the area we've pulled back to is just not right. Doesn't make sense. 4-hour closed below 1905, respecting this rejection zone. You could consider this like a liquidity zone. They went. So that's a pretty powerful area for us to be looking for sells. And just going based off what happened on the previous 4-hour, it's looking like more of a rejection. But it's a very tricky area. We have news in half an hour. So just be patient. The way I am seeing it now though, is that we've had a fake out of 1907. So that's pretty much my key level I'm looking at there. Fake out, we saw a pretty strong rejection here. We moved down about 50 pips in the last like 15 minutes of that 4-hour. And we've had a top wick being formed for the new 4-hour candle, pulling back into 1906, which is what I wanted to see. This previous 5-minute closed bullish, but this 5-minute is a little bit more of what I wanted to see for the sells. Might need to wait for the next 5-minute. If the next 5-minute closes bearish below 1905, then potentially looking at those sells. It's just the timing is a bit tricky. We've got 15 minutes until NYC, 30 minutes until news. You're waiting for news or for the bolt-on? No, I'm waiting to see if we get this resistance being formed. So this is kind of like like I say, my direction. I'm taking this as that rejection, just pulling back here on the new 4-hour top wick being created, looking for resistance on the 5 for sells, preferably closing below 1905. But I don't know, 15 closed bullish there. It's tough. News priced in, or we expecting a breakout? Completely depends how the numbers come out. If we're coming out below the forecast, then we could look for those bars still. Just checking Twitter here for some news. Apparently, India becomes the fourth country to land on the moon. Congrats. That's actually pretty insane. Anyone from India here? I know the London streams, there were a lot of guys from India. Six, Ned. Oh shit. Some bunny chow. Ned is ruthless. Me, I say nothing. Yeah, maybe this was a pullback for a continuation to the upside. I don't know. So far, if this is the move, I don't mind not taking a trade today. Still got plenty of time to see if anything happens. I mean, not too much has actually happened in the session so far. I don't feel like I've missed out on anything amazing. The way that previous candle closed back below 1905, I discussed this potential for the wick fall on the hour, but it wasn't really worth the trade for me because I was seeing this as more of a rejection. So I don't want to, be taking buys into a rejection. If this 30-minute candle, closes like this above 1907.5, then NYSE should easily give you a push to 1910. You could maybe see something like this at NYSE. Very tricky area. I mean, I know I was looking for the sells, now I'm looking for the buys. And that's the thing where, like I said, this is a delicate zone. But you have to wait for confirmation. So far, there's been nothing. At least for me, there's been nothing that said, okay, I should be entering right here. So if you're gonna chop and change your bias, rather do it without being in a trade. If you're hopping in and out of trades, buys, sells, rather call it a day. I'm fresh, haven't used up any of my bullets. If we get the setup for the buyers, obviously the sell ideas would be completely invalidated. But this is how you navigate choppy waters. Patience. Yeah, we're gonna push to 1910 before NYC. I don't know, guys. I don't know if I'm gonna get a trade today, unless that news is really bringing something nice. Tough one. I think if this previous 4 hour was a rejection, we shouldn't have broken the highs there. So looking more like we'll continue to push up. Now it depends on the news. Is the news going to come out in line with the bars here today? Then maybe we can get a push to 1915, even 1920. But, that 1910 was actually one of my initial targets for the day. So you can see you've got some reactions there on the 4 hour. 1915 also, a lot of reactions there. Let's see if we could get a minor pullback here with NYSE. Support formed on the 5. Looking to see if we can capitalize on it in something before the news, but it's tough. We've got 20 minutes until news now. Now, who made Ned a mod? Okay. You know what could actually work at NYC? If we're closing above 1910, and then we get a bolt-on here, so 5 minutes. Next 5 minute closing bearish, this. First 5 minutes of NYC gives you that minor pullback to 1910, close something like that, and then you break those highs. You may even get a push here to 1915 before news. If we get that exact setup, I'll take that before news. Other than that, nothing to do. We closed above 1910. It's gonna wait to see how the 5 minute candle closes. You know, that's kind of the bearish candle close I want. Five could close like that. Bearish. Weak bearish candle. Already retested 1910. Then the next 5 minutes. Looking for something like that. I don't really want to take it on the first five of this new 30 minutes. I'd rather wait to see this 5 minute candle close. Just show that we're holding above 1910. Take it on the next five. You may just rip up now, but yeah, just gonna wait. Uh, Not my day. No trades here today. News in 10 minutes. I'm thinking about just calling it. I mean, you've already pushed up here, what? 80 pips. I could wait and get like 20 pips, I'm sure, after the news. But I don't know, man. It's getting later in the session. At 5 minute didn't do what I wanted it to do. You broke above the previous five. You've closed bullish. This next five maybe have potential to drive up, but we've started to tap into 1912, where I'm also seeing some rejections. So rather gonna just stay out. That news could come out, maybe give you a little bit of a whipsaw, pull back into, like 1907, then push up to 1915. Maybe the news comes out and it's really good for the dollar and we just see rejections here from 1912. And we come back and create the bottom wick for the daily, who knows? So if we get some really one-sided numbers with the news, maybe I'll stick around. I think it would be ideal to see some good news for the dollar, because if we get rejections here of 1912, there must probably be pretty strong rejections and it will give us opportunity to get in. Whereas if that news is bad for the dollar, let's say, numbers come out lower than forecast, we'll probably see price push up, but we've already pushed up quite a lot. Mixed numbers or numbers coming out as forecast, it's probably not going to be the most ideal trading situation. Probably just going to get some whipsaws and range as it's later on in the session. So I'll see how those numbers come out and make a decision. Since I've traded the 5 minute time frame, I haven't had a day in quite a while where I've taken no trades. So I'm like low-key disappointed, but I think it's a good day. Discipline building day. Nothing ticked my boxes yet today. There were maybe more aggressive trade ideas, but for me, this wasn't a day to be aggressive. I didn't like where price was sitting. And yeah, we had nice upside, but we were all over the place. 4 hour never gave me the confirmation I wanted. So pretty tough day. I'm glad to have stayed out. We'll just see what the news does. Wednesday, I've been saying the whole week that we're in a pullback phase. Even before we were in a pullback phase, I said we were in a pullback phase. So you're basically saying the same thing as me. Nostradamus. Yeah, I was already saying on Monday that we will probably see pullbacks. Yeah, after waking up on Monday, seeing us come down into 1885, seeing rejections, failing to create new lows, I knew we were going to begin to pull back. Very next day, took the bars above here, 1895. Got clapped, but the idea was there. We, continued to rally later in the session. But I mean, higher time frame, you're still bearish here. So like I say, this is just a pullback phase where we are trading against the overall high time frame trend. So, like I say, just be careful trading these pullback phases, especially when you're coming up into rejection areas. Because yes, you've got a head and shoulders or cup and handle, but whatever, it doesn't mean it's a reversal. Somebody just pulling back to grab more liquidity, zoom out. Friday will get the drop. This daily pullback may go up to 1945. I was looking at something very similar. Yeah, you can see the zone I put in here, but my focus was really on this structure. I think you're probably looking at the same thing. This structure to get a decent retest of that area. You had a retest there on the daily, but I think that's a nice area to pull into to see further downside. That's a hell of a pullback. 600 pips. And obviously day trading, scalping, there's going to be plenty of bars as we move up there. We're not going to be chasing the sells. But it's not unlike gold to see those pullbacks. As we spoke about earlier in the session, last year where we were in the same kind of phase, although dollar strength was even more pronounced, we were getting like, sometimes 1,000 pip pullbacks. I think from these lows to the highs, you pulled back about 1,000 pips. But in that 1,000 pip move up, it's pretty choppy. But should be alright. Once we start to break above and hold above some of these areas of struggle today, I think once we've got a clearer break above 1900 or 1905, let's call it, it's going to be a little bit easier to take advantage of the bars on the lower time frame. For me, this was like the range that I was looking at coming into the session. So you can see here on the 4-hour and hourly, we never had a closure above this range. So it was very tough. You had a wick up into that area. On the previous 4-hour came close back below. So it's been a very tricky day. This is an area where we could see rejections to still come down. But if we're closing and holding above this range, then the bars are making a lot more sense. The timing has been very off today. And now we'll see with the news. 20 seconds. Yeah, so looks like those two bearish candles on the 5-minute gave you a minor pullback before news. That's unfortunate we didn't get that set up at NYC. Let's see how the numbers came out. Bad numbers there, lower than the forecast. So definitely looking good for those buy ideas. Nice one-sided numbers. You know, as you break this high, you may even get that push all the way to 1920. I'd like to wait and see this 5-minute close. If this 5-minute can close like this, next 5-minute gives you a decent bottom wick back down to 1910. Maybe I could look at something like that. Yeah, if we just push up here, I'm gonna call it a day. I'm not in the mood for aggressive entries or anything. Straight off news. I'd rather play it safe. Yeah. So, you know, if you took that break of the high, you really don't need much of a stop. It looks like we're gonna just push straight to 1920. Check brokers 1 minute. Yeah, I mean, for me, that's the day. There's no trades here for me. You've already had very nice movement today. You know, for me, there were just no entries. If you got to take advantage of some of this upside, you know, that was a pretty beautiful move. Just be very careful as you come up into 19.5, 1920. Other than that, guys, take it easy. Yeah, I wouldn't expect too much more from this session. You know, I think it's just a little bit late to try anything here. You could get some sort of pullback and get another move up, but yeah, I'm done for the day. No trades here today. We'll see what tomorrow brings. Maybe Friday gives us some bangers. Overall, yeah, tricky day for me. I didn't see anything. Cool, guys. Take it easy. Safe trading. Yeah, just be careful now. I know we're moving nicely, but you know, you don't want to FOMO into anything. No FOMO.